Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell, we'll be talking about a very large winter storm that is moving into the western United States as we speak right now. You could see all the warnings and advisories that are issued. The pinks are the warnings, the blues are the advisories, and this thing will be an impactful storm. You may have noticed I do have my webcam on. I will be implementing a few changes to my channel. So starting from today, I will be basically keeping on a webcam 24/7, or not 24/7, throughout the whole entirety of the video, because I realized that, it's kind of better when there's a personal connection with the person speaking. You guys always liked it when I included it only for the first 2 minutes, so now I'll include it through the entirety. Also, I will be dividing my videos into sections for the country. So you could see on the YouTube scroll bar where there's normally the little red kind of button and you could scroll along the video, you will now be able to select each region. I'll be giving the forecast not anymore as an entire United States, but just by region. I believe that will help the efficiency and just kind of the just the overall organization of these videos. So first region I want to start off with is the Northwest United States. You're welcome to watch the whole video, obviously, and if you're new to this channel, I guess you just come across me talking about changes to my channel, so that might not really be important to you, but let's begin. We're going to be starting off with the Northwest United States. So the Northwest United States, as you can see right now, is under a whole area of advisories and warnings. It is rather extensive. You can see Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Montana, Grand Tetons, the Bitterroots, the Cascades. All of these areas are under some pretty significant warnings and advisories. So if I were to say, take a look at especially the Bitterroots, which are going to be pretty intentionally impacted by this, you can see we have, the Missoula, Montana Weather Office is almost completely covered in advisories. Just a few counties that aren't in warnings. So let's just click on a random location here. You can see right now NA 32 degrees. A lot of times when you click on a mountain range, you can see that a lot of the temperature readings are a bit iffy because of how well secluded the areas and the data doesn't always reach there. But in 2 to 4 inches, 5 to 9. So you can see I just wanted to click on this to show you the amount of snow that we could be getting here. It's going to be pretty intense and pretty impressive. Again, nothing you've never really seen before. It's nothing, and not a record-breaking system, but it's a big one. And last time we got this type of system was a few weeks ago at least. So it's been a healthy while. I want to show you right now what we're looking at in terms of the kind of the future, at least the next few hours. So we have the 23Z November 30th pulled up, and let's take a look at the Northwestern United States. So for the most part, you can see that the Northwest is already getting impacted. So Idaho, Washington, Oregon, all these cities and states, you can see you will be getting snow and rain, mainly snow though, because the amount of moisture that does make it in seems to be mainly affecting the mountains as the moisture kind of comes into the mountains and it squeezes out that extra moisture. So a lot of rain won't be actually even reaching the ground. But notice that as I divide this into hours, so overnight to tonight, the snow intensity increases across Idaho, especially into Oregon, southeastern Oregon. Areas that are dry need that moisture in the form of snow, but that will eventually melt, obviously. Montana gets in on that, and it's seemingly throughout the day on Thursday, it seems that it will be kind of winding down. So let's go back a few hours to a previous model run from the same model that has a few hours old of data, but it allows us to go out to over 40 hours. So you can see that as I push this through, Washington, you're pretty much done with this system by tomorrow. So that story, these videos and next few days aren't really going to be minding you, but you will have more activity coming in from different systems. Notice Ohio or Idaho, the Bitterroots, you're pretty much done with by the time we see December 1st. So that is tomorrow, but later on in the day, Montana, you're also mainly done with by tomorrow. And then you can still see Nevada hanging in on through Friday, and Utah and Wyoming as well getting in on that as we get closer and closer towards Friday and eventually to Saturday. Notice we have a separate storm system that starts impacting the west here. That is not what we're kind of talking about. That is for a different video. Let's take a look at some of these snowfall amounts. Notice they're going to be pretty impressive, especially across the mountain ranges. Notice the Cascades, the Bitterroots, the Grand Tetons, amounts well over a foot, foot and a half, maybe even 2 feet. And obviously you can see the northern portions of Nevada and Utah also getting in on that. In terms of rainfall, again, mainly where the snow falls, because in the lower elevated areas, not that significant. Again, as that moisture runs into mountains, it will kind of, make that a lot more extreme. the precip amounts and extract a lot more moisture. Let's now focus on the Southwest. So now we're moving to the Southwestern United States, and let's take a look at the next few hours, because this is where the majority of the action will be taking place for the next few days. So yeah, and notice that as I put this on, we start seeing this really significant band of snow move into portions of Northern California and Southern Oregon into the overnight hours tonight. So again, some of these regions I already showed you, right? They overlap slightly, but that's okay. Let's focus on California, Nevada, Utah here, mainly Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. And notice we see a lot of snow. It really starting to pull into the Sierra Nevada by the early morning hours tomorrow and through the day. You can see this is 12 p.m. This is now 1 p.m., 2, 3, 4. This thing continues for a while. Now, the good thing is that once it kind of moves through, it's out of here. And notice that it starts quickening its pace. So Nevada, Southern Sierras also really don't really see that much. Southern Nevada, I meant to say the Southern Sierras, don't see as much as nearly as much as the northern sections. But notice Utah, right? Idaho, again, Southern Wyoming, Colorado, see quite a bit of this. Arizona, New Mexico, you're not going to be really in on a lot of this moisture, really barely at all. Anything's gonna get there. So I guess view that as a good or a bad thing. That's most likely what's going to happen. Total snowfall, pretty impressive. Watch this, guys. Look, amounts here ranging even to 3, maybe even some 4-foot amounts. I really don't think there will be widespread 3 to 4 foot amounts. There will definitely some isolated areas, but you can see a widespread 1, 2, 3 foot amount. I would say for many areas peaking at around the 2.5 feet. Notice Nevada, northern Nevada, quite a bit of snow as well, anywhere from 2 to 7 inches, maybe even more. And then right there, the Wasatch into Utah also picking up quite a bit of snowfall, well over a foot in some areas. Let's now start focusing across the north central United States, as this system will be impacting this area pretty significantly, though not in maybe the fashions that you think it will. So without further ado, let's start this off with the GFS model. I can't use the HER model for this because of the fact that the HER model only goes out to 48 hours. So you know, I could show you that across the Northwest and Southwest, as that is already occurring in the next 48 hours. That system will be out of here, but by the time 48 hours reach here, the system is barely making its way into here. So first off, the biggest noticeable change that you will see from this system is a influx of very, very warm air from the south, and this will obviously bring temperatures into the 50s and 40s across a good portion of Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas. The northern United States, especially the Dakotas right here, may not even get in on that warm air because, well, you never really even remove that cold air from your area, and that's why it allows this system to really kind of produce a lot of snow there. And the other interesting thing I want to mention with this system is that while it is going to be bringing in quite a bit of warm air, you can see it's kind of doing this right on the heels of some very dry air that moved in following that system. So the moisture it brings up is really not sufficient enough for this system to develop a strong cold front or anything of that sort. So it's just going to be mainly skirmishing portions of the Dakotas here, northern Minnesota, and portions of the southern Canada. Do note though that behind it, the biggest noticeable change for the, especially Iowa, the southern sections, Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, Ohio, will be a lot of cold air and quite some strong winds, especially for Nebraska, Kansas, where you pretty much get nothing out of this, excluding just these temperature swings. Further eastward, you will get a little bit of showery activity, some noticeable warm air following by some very cold air. Notice this thing does start intensifying 986, so by the time it moves into the northeast, the winds from this system are going to be pretty intense, as will the cold air. In terms of the total accumulated precip, mainly again across the northern areas, and even where it does rain, it's not going to be too significant. Total snowfall, if we take a glance at this, peaking across southern Ontario with those amounts approaching almost a foot. I wouldn't be surprised to see some amounts over that, and a widespread kind of 1 to 2, but assuming the cold air is prevalent and as cold as what the models are showing, the 10-to-1 ratio, which this model assumes, won't be really accurate, and we could be looking at easily a 2 to 3, even widespread 4 to 5 inch event across the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. I do want to mention that the models do have some disagreement, but the reason I'm showing you the GFS only for this is not only because this is my first time recording the video the way I'm recording it by region, so it's going to be hard to kind of flip around. I'll figure out a way to do it, but in this case, the models are actually in agreement enough where I am comfortable, especially for this area, the North Central United States, showing you just the GFS. So that is that. Again, as I mentioned, the other big difference will be the temperatures. If I take a look at the 2-meter temperature shaded, let's run this back into, well, today. So this is what it looks like right now. So 6 p.m., it's going to be very chilly nights for a lot of the U.S. after that big system yesterday. The U.S., I mean North Central United States. I'll have to get used to saying stuff by regions, as again, I'm still getting used to everything here. But do note that tomorrow, Thursday, there is a moderation in the sense that especially the southern areas of this forecast range will keep getting even into the 60s. Then a lot of this area gets in on that warm air for Friday. You can see widespread even 70s across Kansas and 40s, 30s as far north as Wisconsin, Michigan, the same areas that tonight we'll be seeing, single digits. So especially where that snowpack is across Minnesota, you won't be seeing warm temperatures, but you will be seeing some significant snowmelt. There will be quite a bit of cold, and then again that sweeps into the rest of the United States following this system. Let's now focus on the South Central United States. Again, with this system, there's not going to be that much activity because of the lack of its cold front. So that's going to be pretty nice. These areas, I'm sure you don't really want to see much activity, especially across Mississippi, Arkansas, where you saw that extreme severe weather yesterday. Well, maybe you do. Maybe there are some weather geeks, and I'm sure there are. But, it makes it easy for me. I don't have to spend too much time here. The biggest noticeable thing you'll see from this is the influx of warm temperatures. You can see an increase in wind on Thursday and Friday. Overall, in terms of precipitation, pretty much nothing. You can see maybe the eastern areas of this forecast region start getting impacted by some rainfall, though again, anywhere else it's not significant, and even across these areas it's really not that significant. Let's take a look at those temperatures. I could show you the preset, but I mean it's not even worth it showing you that. It's going to be so minimal. So for your specific area, this system may not be big, but again, I forecast for the whole United States, so this system, I have to call it a big storm, not just because Oklahoma doesn't see rain or snow. You got to understand. This is why I like dividing it by region, so you could click on your location and see quickly whether or not you're going to be impacted. In my previous videos, you didn't have that. So notice that, again, it's pretty chilly now. So Thursday, right? Thursday morning, so Wednesday. So right now, you can see that temperature spills into tomorrow. But during the day, you see a lot of warming, and especially on Friday, you can see some very nice warm temperatures. You will see some cool air following this, especially across the northern areas, but it doesn't make its way too far to the south. So Saturday is decently cold day across Kansas, Missouri. Definitely could be worse. And a decent day across a good portion of Texas and Arkansas, 50s, 40s, so chilly. But then near the Gulf Coast states where the cool air doesn't make its way there yet, at least on Saturday, it's going to be pretty warm. And I say Gulf Coast states, I meant just to say like the Gulf Coast areas, because you can see Texas, a lot of it's going to be chilly. But then on Sunday, you can see it starts rebounding, so the south doesn't get too particularly impacted by this. Let's move on now into the northeastern United States. So this area will get impacted by the system, unlike the south central United States, and it will get impacted in several big fashions. So let's start off. Right now we do have precipitation going on from the current system that we were talking about a few days ago. This will move out of here, and it will leave some lake effect behind. So for the next Thursday, next few days, next few hours, I would say, that next 24 hours, it will be some chilly air and some lake effect for some areas. It won't be as significant, the lake effect, as last time, not nearly as significant, as the wind change quickly occurs as this high pressure races towards the east, and we see a lot of those snow bands weaken. So we do, again, noticeable difference, especially for the southern areas. A lot of warm air coming in out ahead of this. You can see stronger winds from the south increasing throughout the day on Friday and into early Saturday. Then we do see that cold front eventually develop, and as it pushes eastward, it's pretty sizable. Again, maybe some scattered showers and isolated thunderstorm, nothing severe and nothing too significant. There will be a bit of snow across Michigan, southern Canada, and the biggest noticeable change following this system will be the strong cold winds that are left behind us. And some of that cold air may be so stubborn that once this system leaves, right, Monday, Tuesday of next week, there could be some moisture that comes in the form of snow for a lot of these areas. So in terms of total accumulated snowfall, you can see a lot of this either comes from the lake effect or from the system that is currently going on, and the same thing with a lot of the moisture. It's not going to be too significant. You can see that the additional moisture that gets added on, you can see that wave coming in from the west, mainly just a few tenths of an inch, nothing too significant, though it's going to be a storm that's going to impact your area nonetheless. Now, let's take a glance at the southeastern United States, the last region before I show you an overall whole picture of this system. So the southeast will get impacted by this system, though again, mainly in the form of rain and some warm and cool air fluctuations. So right now you're dealing with cool air across a good half portion of this, and even the southern half is just obviously not as cold as you go further south. Do note that as I put this forward, we see that, that 540 line, that blue one, get kicked out of here. So warming temperatures, increasingly strong southerly winds, especially across the eastern areas of this forecast area where I kind of went over with my cursor there. And you can see that the cold front does bring some moisture on Saturday, and a little bit of cool air for the northern areas. And just to show you the temperature fluctuation a bit better, you can see that right now we are dealing with cool temperatures, though again on Friday this will start moderating quite quickly, especially from the eastern areas. That will be even quicker. And then out ahead of this, there could be some very warm temperatures across the south here on Saturday, but then we see another kind of moderation, though some of that warm air could linger across Florida and extreme southern United States. So let's now show you this whole entire system on the continental United States scale. I like doing this still, and I think I will be showing you the entire system, because if I divide it by region, you might not necessarily see the entirety kind of massiveness of the system. Again, the west, you will get impacted by this the most significantly. You will see a lot of snow, a lot of rain, and notice that again, as we track this forward, you obviously see the high pressure and the low pressure creating a very strong avenue of winds into Friday and Saturday for the Midwest, and again, the Northeast and even the South. But you also see that system developing, which you could see on this larger scale. It looks a lot more significant. There's that cold front. It becomes a 982. It's pretty big. I mean, stretches from all the way where polar bears live all the way to the Gulf Coast. So it's a decently sized system. Are its impacts going to be incredibly impactful? Not really. At least for our area, as a bulk of that heavy snow occurs in less populated Canadian cities. Though what it does do, that is and again, obviously, I'm talking about once the system leaves the mountains, because right now what it's currently doing and it will be doing across the west will be very impactful. But what it does do, again, as I mentioned, will bring in a lot of cold air, and that sets the pattern in stage for a potentially more active pattern with maybe not as big systems, just a lot more smaller scale storms. Again, the models here really show little agreement. So what happens here is really anyone's best guess, and you could see that maybe you could see some of that snow getting pretty far south. Maybe, I mean, there's a lot of different runs here, and the GFS doesn't even agree with itself here. And if I were to take a look at this 6Z, so this was from the morning hours. Let me run this back to hour 0 and show you this. There's that system that we're talking about now. Again, the models have been pretty consistent about this one, thank goodness. Notice continued moisture across the southwest. We see that cold air spill into for the northern half of the U.S. Pretty zonal flow. So again, these systems are kind of have a tough time developing into anything big. So you can see moisture will be there, maybe some lake effect occurring with any blast of cool air on either side of the lakes. And you can see the GFS starts introducing some more activity, maybe in the form of bigger storms. It's kind of a mess for now, and we'll just have to stay with it. And I'll keep you guys updated, obviously. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. Obviously, I'm still getting used to these formats of videos, so if you have any advice, if you have any additional additions I may implement, please leave them down below. Obviously, constructive criticism is always welcomed. And, today might not have been the most fluent video. I might have not been as well, I kind of stutter with words, whatnot. It's because it's a lot of change, but, keeping the webcam on the whole time, it's kind of like, ooh, it's a little bit strange, but I'll get used to it. But if this is your first video, well, hopefully you like this format, and if not, let me know. All right. And if it's not your new video, if you didn't like it, let me know. All right. See you guys. Bye.